And I tell you what, these cars are hard to keep clean. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So glad each and every one of you can make it. Quite a while back, I made a video about the 5 things I really did not like about my 5th gen Camaro. So the car's been long paid for. I've put many miles on it, and it's been several years since I did that video. So are the complaints still the same? Have I found new things that I don't like about it? Or what's the lowdown? Well, stay tuned and we'll get to that. Again, welcome back to the channel, everybody. So glad each and every one of you can make it. Now, in all fairness, I love this car. I love everything about it. But there are a few things that, like I said in the last video, that I just don't like about it, that I would change if I could. And I went over that. So with that being stated, let's walk over that list and see if they've still changed. First up, in the old video, I said sun visors. So let's check and see if that's still the same thing. Sitting in my Tahoe, just for comparison, and we'll check the 4th gen also. But let's flip it down. And the one in the Tahoe measures 6 3/4 inches. And it comes down to past my line of sight. My line of sight sitting here is right there. That's perfectly in line with my eyes, the center of my eyes. So if I flip that down, that comes down well beyond that. So that definitely covers up any sun that comes in. So let's check this bad boy. All right, here's the line of sight in the black car. My line of sight is right there, which is how your line of sight should be. Not down here like if you're laying back in your seat. You should be looking out the center of your windshield, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So here's my black sun visor, or the sun visor in my black car. It comes down even further. It measures smaller, but the roof line on this car is shorter also. The windshield is deceiving. This one is only 6 inches. But as you see, because of the angle of the windshield, the low slung roof and everything, that's how much protection I get from the sun in this. Now, here we are in the red car. Again, my line of sight is right in the middle. Now, when I first made this video, everybody's like, well, quit sitting so low in your car, raise your seat up. Well, look, I've already only got that much room from the top. And if the middle of my line of sight is right there, if I go that far up, I'm going to be hitting the roof. But let's check this sun visor. Look at that puny thing. It doesn't even come close to the middle of my line of sight. Not even close. And this joker measures a whopping 4 inches. 2 inches smaller than the 4th gen and 2 3/4 inches smaller than the Tahoe. So yes, this is still one of the things on my list of things I do not like about this car that I would change. Now, one of the other things that I complained about or said that I would change on my car was the cup holder. Is that still the same? Yes, that is still one of the things that if I could change, I would if I worked at GM. And let me show you why. As you can see, I just have a medium-sized cup in here. If I put my arm on the armrest like you're going to do, look at that. It automatically hits that, and that's if I push the straw to the side when my hand comes down. So I'm automatically, as you can see, as I'm working the gear shift, I'm moving that cup, I'm hitting that cup. So rather than putting my arm on the armrest, I'm actually resting on the cup and trying to shift gears. And that's a good way to put a hole in a cup. Now, the guys that say it's no big deal to them are typically the guys that have the aftermarket shifters like the Hurst shifter. It's a good 1.5 inches, 2 inches taller, so I can see why those guys would not have any problem at all with that, because their arm is more angled up instead of straight. It's more up like this, so your arm's not going to hit. So I can see that. If I had the shifter, which I would love to have the shifter, I would still make it look like this. I like the way the factory shifter looks in this car. It just goes with everything else. I would put the the factory ball back on it, and I've put the boot back on it. But that's just me. That's how I like it. Now, would I change it later on? It's possible. And if I did want to, I'd just take the ball back off and put the other ball on. It's not that hard to do. But yes, this is still on my list. Next up, I'm not trying to do these in exact order or anything, but I believe the next one was the spare tire. And while I still don't like the fact there's no spare tire in this, I mean, they could have put a donut in it. And I know with the 20-inch rims and everything, it'd have to be a large donut. I understand that. But there's a wheel well back there for this size of tire. So they could have easily put a donut tire in there. Not a full-size one, you know, the depth and everything. Just a donut one, just to get you from point A to point B off the side of the road, or to get you home to where you can get your other tire fixed if it's possible. So while the spare tire is still on I'm not happy with, since I have AAA, it's no big deal. You know, I just call them up, and typically within 10-15 minutes, which is the amount of time it takes me to change the spare anyway, they've got somebody there to fix it for me. So what takes the place of that, you may be asking? Well, let me show you, because I just went and picked it up. Went to Chick-fil-A and got me some lunch, and this is the next one on the list. How can this have anything to do with a car, you're saying? Yeah, I know. Let me show you. It went from spare tire to side window, because you know these things aren't that tall. That really doesn't fit in there. It hits the straw, hits the bottom, and that, you kind of have to angle it, and if there's any, and you know how they get it on the lids. If there's any on the lids at all, it will go in your lap or on your door. Bag, you say? The bag is taller than the window. So again, they have to tilt the food to put it in there. That's just not kosher, GM. I don't know what you're thinking on that. There could have been a different way to do it. I don't know what the thing would have been, but instead of the spare, this is now taking its place. The window, or size of the window. Another one on the list was brake dust. Yes, the good old brake dust conundrum. You know, these cars have Brembo brakes. The SS models have Brembo brakes on them, which perform wonderful compared to any other car that's on the market right now, outside of a performance type like a Porsche or a Mercedes or something like that. As far as regular standard model cars, like, you know, the Mustangs and stuff like that, these brakes are wonderful. So is the brake dust still an issue? Well, let's look and see. Yes, it is. And I'll explain why. I just washed this car about 3 days ago, and look at it. Now the reason I know that you can buy really expensive brake pads, let's let this rescue car go by. Never fails every time I do a video on YouTube. Ambulance, I hope you make it, whoever's in there. But yes, the brake dust is one of those things that's kind of a balancing act, because yeah, I know they make really, really expensive ones. Not that these factory ones are cheap by any stretch of the imagination, but I know that they make some other ones that stop almost as good. I've looked at the ratings and the test that's been done on them and everything. To get something equivalent that doesn't have the brake dust, the braking distance is a little bit further, which is not a big issue if you're not a tailgater and stuff like that. So if you go down to a lower priced one that doesn't cause the dust, if you will, that's, you know, more friendly priced, the stopping is way off. I mean, it's like you're pushing down on a baked potato, for lack of a better description or terminology. You push down on it and you feel it hit to start with, and the car starts slowing down, but it doesn't want to slam you against your seatbelt, your restraint, like these do. It's like you push down on it, you hit the potato, and then it's just mushy after that. It's just like it takes a good bit more distance. So yes, the brake dust is still one of the issues that I do not like. I'm still searching for that in between. Everybody recommends Hawk pads. I don't like the what the pads are made of compared to the Brembos, and especially compared to the cheaper ones, because these are kind of like semi-metallic. Yeah, when they get hot, like driving in traffic, you'll get a little bit of a squeal, but that's because these are semi-metallic, hence metallic being metal in the brake lining, right? And that's one of the things that grabs the rotor is the brake, yeah, the metal. So whenever you go down to the cheaper brands, it doesn't have the metallic in it to grip that rotor, if you will, whereas the Hawk ones have other things in it that's not environmental friendly that I read up on that I'm not interested in, if you will, but I am looking into them. You know, they've got the yellow, they've got the red. The yellow's not quite as aggressive as the Brembos, like I said, and the red is basically race performance, so I really don't need that because I'm not going to be racing. So it's kind of, I know I'm going to be giving up some, but when I do have to do the brakes, I'm thinking about putting drilled and slotted on there anyway, and that along with the yellow pads should make up the difference that the two are lacking in between, if you will. So yeah, long story short, brake dust is still an issue. And last but definitely not least, and this was tied to the window, believe it or not, but let's get in the car so I can show you exactly what I'm talking about. Now this is part of the window conundrum, okay? Let me get the bag again to show you. Like I said, if you're going to bring this bag in, you have to tilt it to bring it in, which is no big deal. I understand, it's just a little pet peeve, I get it. You can mush the top of the bag and bring it in, or do any number of things to get it in. Drinks are a little different. Like I said, this barely fits, it actually hits. So you have to tilt it too, and if there's any liquid whatsoever on top of that, you're going to spill it. But that is not the whole issue with the window, which is why I'm making this part separate. Whenever you sit in this car, I love the way it's designed. Some people say it's too much plastic, but let's face it, today's cars, to get the shapes and the designs and everything, they have to be plastic. Now the upper end cars will do plastic and then coat it with Alcantara or something like that to make you feel like you're getting something different, which you're really not. You're still getting the plastic, it's just covered. But when you drive this car, I'm 5'11", so when you drive this car, even at my age and my size and everything, the best way for me to get you to visualize it or think about it is, it's like you're 7 or 8 years old sitting in your daddy's car.
Hey pal, you ready? Can you pick me up at 6:30? Life can be hard, buddy.
Okay. Oh, I'm so glad I got the car wash. I'm here.
Too late.
I was gone for 5 minutes.
Gotta feed the meter.
What's a meter? Where am I supposed to go? Oh, people.
Because if you look at it, you've got the window. Look how high this window is. That's not comfortable. My Tahoe, my 410 and everything, I don't have to raise my arm up past parallel to get it into the door opening. And then I can't even stand my arm up. Every car I've ever owned, I was able to put my hand on the drip rail and it sit on the top of the door, which would put the top of the door right there. So it's like you're sitting down in the car because this door is so tall. Like I said, I'm not complaining about the overall design. I love the design. It's just like, it's hard to explain, but it's like you're driving your daddy's car, like you're not supposed to be in it, you know? Like you're too small for it or whatnot. It's just really hard to explain, but yeah, that's number 5. After owning this car for several years, buying it, paying it off, driving it almost daily, that's the 5 things after all that time, all said and done, driving it through life's adventures, going to pick up food, going to stores, yada yada, you know, just everything that you have to do, going to the mother-in-law's house, going to family members' houses, going on trips. That's the 5 things that if I could change anything on this car, that would be it. And like I said, it's not really that I hate them, it's just that I wish they would have manipulated them a little bit differently to make them work a little better. Because this car, the 5th gen body style, is the best-selling reiteration of the Camaro since they brought it back. And it's almost perfect, but it's not quite there. It's got those few little tweaks or things that I would change. But after this body style, they started making changes, trying to address some of the issues like the door height, the roof height, and all that stuff. And it just changed the overall look of the car, and the sales started going downhill big time. Started plummeting. That's why they're discontinuing it again, or one of the many reasons they're discontinuing it again. When they brought the car back, this is the best, most perfect design, and they started trying to tweak it and make it better, and they just didn't do a good job. So is it a perfect car? By no means. That's not what I'm saying, but it is the perfect one out of the 5th, 6th, and almost 7th generation. So with that being stated, I'm going to get off here, go enjoy my lunch, and we'll see you later. Thank you so very much for watching.